All right, hey guys, hope you're doing well. My name is Hezi. I've built an e-commerce agency and we've helped several clients with TikTok and email marketing over the past 2 years. And now we're transitioning to a great consulting company that's helping agencies scale their agencies or helping agency owners scale their agencies to $50,000 per month or beyond. Leveraging several methods such as omnichannel presence and cold email. And I'm really excited to get into all of that. If you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it. I'm trying to get up in the algorithm. If you look at the link down below, you will see a link to join our Facebook group. That's where I'm going to be sharing a lot of Google documents and a lot of different value. We just started the group, so there's probably not a lot of people in it right now. That maybe in the future, if you're watching this video, there might be a lot of people in it. I don't know. But right now, as of September 24th, 2022, there is a handful of people. So with that being said, today's video is about the 4 steps to getting your first 10 clients for your SMMA. The 4 sort of outreach fundamentals you need to keep in place. This is all outreach related. I'm not too focused on anything philosophical or psychological or in your mindset. I think those are extremely important, and I do believe that business is 70 to 80% mindset and 20 to 30% practicalities or work. Okay, so I think I'll make a separate video this week, probably tomorrow, maybe, I don't know, maybe Monday, we'll see. We're gonna make a separate video on how the mindset is relevant and how, you know, what a proper mindset should look like when you're doing outreach, right? Because I have a lot to say about that, and I struggle to articulate those type of things, so I really need to rehearse it. But here are 4 sort of practical steps you need to take, and they're pretty much the most fundamental things. I could come up with like 10 steps, but these are really the most fundamental things you need to keep in mind if you are trying to get your first few clients, okay? I'm gonna transition over to my computer, and we are gonna get started, okay? I'll see you guys over there. Okay, so like I said, here's 4 steps. I got this written up in a Google document. It's very practical. It's very simple. I would say universally, most professionals in this space are going to agree with everything I'm going to say here. Okay, so this is very universal. It applies to not only agencies but also consulting businesses, coaching businesses, done with you. You know, any service-based business. This is going to work for. Okay, these are all fundamental practical steps for outreach. And these are, if you get these things down, you will succeed. And if you do it over a long period of time at high volume, you will succeed. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So number 1 is you need to know your ICP. Your ICP is your ideal customer profile. And basically what that means, it's your audience. It's the person that is your ideal client. It's your ideal persona. It's the person that you're looking to onboard into your agency. When you think of a perfect or good client, not anything but a bad quality client, this is who you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to use the example e-commerce just because it's the first one that came to my head. We have 6 variables you want to look at. Okay, so number 1 is industry. E-commerce is kind of more of a platform than it is a niche. A lot of people look at e-commerce and look at it like it's a niche. It's not a niche. E-commerce is not a niche, or a niche, however you want to pronounce it. It's an industry, or it's not even an industry. It's really a platform. I mean, everybody has an e-commerce website these days. So when you say you target e-commerce brands, that's not saying a lot. You're pretty much targeting every brand in the world. So you need to narrow it down with these few variables. You don't have to utilize all of these variables because things like revenue can be unreliable. But we're going to kind of talk about these things individually and go one by one. So number 1 is industry. You need to figure out what kind of industry you want to target, whether it's jewelry, skincare, cosmetics, bath, fragrance, golf, pet. What's another good one? Clothing's a very popular one. Accessories, really, any kind of accessories. I mean, these are all industries and sub niches. You need to narrow down what industry or sub niche of e-commerce brands you're targeting. Okay. Now some of these are still kind of broad. So like skincare, for example, you might want to broaden this down to eco-friendly, skincare, or gluten-free skincare, or cruelty-free. I think it's the same thing as eco-friendly, but cruelty-free. Same thing with cosmetics, pretty much. Cosmetics and skincare are kind of in the same niche a little bit. Bath, same thing. Jewelry, you can go for things like men's jewelry, or what's another good one? You can street jewelry, or what's another good one? I'm thinking about this all at the top of my head. I didn't rehearse the rest of this. Street jewelry, you could target just purely watch brands or watch companies. There's not a ton of those, so it's not an industry I recommend a ton. But watches, what's another good one? Bracelets. Let's go fragrance. You can do women, men's, golf, pet. You can do dog, cat, fish, lizard, or any kind of reptile. Clothing. Clothing is very, very broad. This is probably the one you want to narrow down the most. You can't just target clothing e-commerce brands. That's still a little bit too broad. So I would do like streetwear, or athletic wear, or I can't spell. Athletic wear. What's another good one? You can even do like Japanese streetwear. That's a niche. Anime merch. I don't know. That's another good one. Women's, or you can like eco-friendly clothing. Like either way, you want to try and narrow this down as much as possible. However, if you narrow it down too much, like if you do men's men's friendly gold jewelry, that might be a little too narrow, because the further you narrow down, the less leads you're going to exclude, or the more leads you're going to exclude. Okay, so if you're narrowing down, to like men's eco-friendly gold jewelry, or eco-friendly skincare brands, that's eco-friendly woman, or we'll just say black-owned skincare brands. Like that's very, very, very narrow. You're gonna filter out a lot of brands, and you're not going to be sending out a ton of volume. So don't go too broad. If you're going into broad industries like clothing, narrow that down to like streetwear, athletic wear. Just don't go super broad into clothing. Clothing is still a little bit too broad. Skincare is not super broad. You could do eco-friendly skincare, gluten-free. That's a little narrow. Cruelty-free. That's also a little bit narrow. Dog. I don't think that's too narrow. I think you want to make sure it's broad enough to where you can get a few thousand leads a month, but also not super broad where you're not niching down, right? So first thing you need to worry about is industry. Make sure you're niching down. Revenue, this can be relevant, but it's not reliable. Okay, so if you have store leads, or some sort of database, it might give you a revenue filter. You might be able to filter through companies based on revenue. Now, the problem with revenue filters is that they're not always reliable. I recently sent out a cold email to a skincare brand doing over $50,000 a month. It was actually a belt company doing less than $10,000 a month. Okay, so revenue is not always reliable. One of the good ways to determine revenue is, let's go to Kylie Cosmetics, just for example. So let's go to Kylie Cosmetics, just because it's the first example I thought of. It's a Shopify store, so it should be pretty easy. You're going to utilize, I'm not sure if you guys can see my screen right now, but you're going to utilize a tool called SimilarWeb. And with SimilarWeb, you can actually check how many visitors how many monthly visitors the website gets. So if I click on this, Kylie Cosmetics gets about 758,000 monthly visits. That's a lot. Your average Shopify store probably has a 1% conversion rate. It depends. It really does just depend. but 1% is fair. So I mean, I don't have a let's just run through a calculator really quick. Computer's a little bit slow, so you have to bear with me. But you can determine their revenue based off of off their website visitors. So if they have 750,000 monthly visitors, and let's just say it's a 1% conversion rate, that's 7,500. That's 7,500 sales, and let's just say their average product's like $30. Okay, that's $225,000 a month. I think they're doing way more than that, to be honest. Kylie Cosmetics has probably got more of a 5%, maybe even a 10% conversion rate, to be honest with. Let's just say it's 10%. That's 75,000. Let's just say their average product is 35. I mean, they could be doing $3 million a month in sales for all I know. It's kind of hard to tell, but if generally, depending on the target revenue you're aiming for, the similar web, sorry, I had to take care of something, but the similar web data might be relevant. So that is something you might want to check. You can't really do that at scale. You can't go through like 1,000 leads a day and check their website visitors. So it is going to be a little bit of a challenge to tell. My advice would be don't rely on revenue too much. You can use it as a filter, but it's not always going to be reliable. So don't rely on it. Don't rely on it too much. Company size is a little bit more reliable. You can go on LinkedIn and find the size of companies. So company size is much more relevant. A company with 10 people is going to be doing a lot less revenue than a company with 50 people. Okay, so I'm not sure what the average revenue numbers look like for each company size, but company size is a good filter to consider over revenue. Job title, that might be something you want to take into consideration. I've had good experiences targeting multiple decision makers. So you might want to not only message or email the CEO. A lot of agencies will only email the CEO. You want to also try to reach out to other decision makers, maybe especially if it's a bigger company or a company that's doing a lot more revenue. Let's say you're reaching out to Kylie Cosmetics. Kylie might have a CMO in place. Kylie is obviously an extremely busy individual, so you might want to target her CMO or her marketing coordinator, right? Try to find that information. You can probably find it on LinkedIn, and then reach out to them and say, hey, I tried reaching out to your CMO or your CEO, couldn't reach them. Here's an email that might be relevant to you. And they might not be getting as much cold emails as the CEO, because everybody targets the CEO. And if you're targeting a less saturated decision maker, you might see a bigger reply rate, okay? Because they're probably getting a lot less cold emails because their data is just less used. Another thing that might be relevant is their situation or their current pain point, right? So, for example, maybe they're not running, maybe they're running Facebook ads but not TikTok. Okay, so you can come in and point that out to them. Say, hey, notice I wouldn't personally do this, but you can come in and say, I noticed you don't have a TikTok pixel installed. Just curious if there's a reason for that, or just look for people like in certain situations. You can usually find this data a lot easier. You can filter this a lot easier on store leads. You can filter through companies that don't have Klaviyo installed. You can filter the date in which their pixels were installed. Ads are a little bit harder to track, but the point being is you kind of want to look for a certain situation relevant to your offer. So if you're offering email marketing, look for websites that don't have Klaviyo installed, or maybe websites that have Klaviyo installed but they don't have a pop-up form. Whatever the case may be, right? You want to try and look for a specific situation. The location that can be relevant. It is something I use in cold emails. I usually say, I've been checking out brands on Instagram in San Diego, right? So their city can be very, very relevant, and it adds a little bit of extra personalization. Okay, so ICP, extremely important. You need to establish that first before reaching out to just anybody and everybody. You're going to see much more success if you're reaching out to more narrow audiences than just anybody and everybody. Number 2 is volume or extreme personalization. You can take either route. I recommend the latter. You can send a lot of volume with a little bit of personalization just to kind of figure out what works, or you can send manually sent extremely personalized emails. Okay. Some people see success with this. That's actually how I got my first client. I manually typed out an email that was pretty long, and that's how I secured my first client. So long form, in my experience, it can work. I don't recommend it. I think short form's the way to go. But if you can really personalize an email to the point to where it's the only person that you can send it to, you might see you'll probably see high reply rates. There's not a lot of people that are doing that. So, like I said, I recommend the latter. Send high volume, but with a little bit of personalization. Make sure you have 5 or more domains to make sure you can handle that much volume. You don't want to send 200 emails from one domain. Make sure you're sending about 50 emails per domain. Have 5 domains in place. Send about 250 or more emails per domain per day. Okay. I'm sorry, 250 emails per day divided amongst 5 different domains. Follow up. You need to follow up. I'm applying this mainly to cold email, but this is for pretty much any outreach platform. The volume step might not be as relevant to things like Facebook or LinkedIn, but everything else is extremely relevant to your outreach. So follow up. You need to be following up, not just with bumps. Don't just say, "Hey, just following up. Just see if you got my message." Like, I mean, don't do that. You can do that one time, like as your first follow up, but that is literally it. The first follow up you can do, like, "Hey, just want to see this went through." That's fine. But your follow ups after that should never just be these bland, boring emails or messages. Utilize personalized gifts. These are these work a dream. Okay, they're really good. People love these. Go omni-channel. Reach out to somebody you cold emailed on LinkedIn or Instagram or SMS. I haven't tested that, but people have recommended it to me. Reach out to them on Facebook. It's a little bit more manual. You're going to have to actually look up these people, unless you have their LinkedIn. You can import LinkedIn sheets into Walaxy. But I recommend going omni-channel. Let your cold emails play out, or let them play out about halfway through, and then go onto another platform and say, "Hey, I sent you an email. Just wanted to see if it went through." You can kind of do that. Just keep it when you go on social media. Make sure it's very conversational, which we're going to get into. Handwritten letters. I don't know anybody that does that, but that's probably a good opportunity to utilize. I've never personally utilized it, but if you can find their address and you have a little bit of capital, I recommend sending handwritten letters to your prospects, especially the people you really want to work with. Write them a letter, something personalized. Don't sell them in the letter, but just really show you're going the extra mile for them. Okay. Personalized memes and images, same thing as GIFs. Case studies, send over value. Just send over literally any kind of content that isn't a bump, right? Just send over something that's relevant, funny, helpful, anything. Number 4, you need to leverage other channels. You need to make sure you're going omni-channel. You cannot just send cold emails all day passively. You can't only do that. You're not going to grow. I mean, you can, but you're not going to grow that fast. You need to make sure you're following up on other channels, or you're finding new leads on other channels. Go on LinkedIn, send a bunch of connection requests, build a following. Same thing with Facebook. Create a Facebook group. Find your ideal clients. Send them friend requests. Go in groups. Make valuable posts. Use Trojan horse questions. Twitter's a good one that's popping off nowadays. A lot of people are using Twitter to get clients. And it's pretty recent. I haven't really heard anybody on YouTube talk about going on Twitter for client acquisition. So Twitter's a good opportunity right now. I personally use Twitter. I love Twitter. I use Twitter Twitter is very valuable to learn things too. Instagram. Instagram is probably the toughest. I'm not going to lie. Instagram is probably the toughest to build a brand. It's probably the toughest to get clients from. But if you get clients from it, you'll probably retain them pretty well. Don't limit yourself to only doing cold emails. Do not do that. Yes, you should focus on one channel. You want to make sure you're pouring a lot of energy into it, but you can't just let instantly run and do nothing else, right? Because cold emails are automated. The only thing you really do is write scripts, follow up, check your data, and that probably takes less than an hour a day. Okay. Maybe you spend 2 hours on that. Either way, you still have more time to do other things. So spend more time on other channels after you're worrying about your cold emails. Make sure you are checking on your cold emails and really pouring energy into them, but pour energy into other platforms as well. Okay. You can do manual sending. This can be you can set up a 6th domain and just send personalized emails from that. That's a good way to reach clients. A bonus step is ask for referrals. When you start signing clients, ask for referrals. That will go a long way. Some people run their entire business on referrals and don't do any outreach. That's that. I mean, it takes a while to get to that point, but when you do, your business will just run forever, right? But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I try to keep it as short and brief as possible, but I think these are the 4 fundamental things you guys need to focus on when it comes to outreach. These are very practical steps. My next video, I really want to focus on the mindset of things and how to not allow emotion, just for example, to sabotage your outreach, because emotion is probably the biggest thing that sabotages your outreach. Often your outreach is sabotaged by you, not necessarily the systems. A lot of people think, this outreach method isn't working, and it actually does work. They're just not looking at it from the right angles. They're not implementing it the right way, and they're kind of just doing the same things over and over again. So anyways, that's another video topic. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, like I said, give it a like. Please subscribe. Please comment your thoughts. This was a little bit of a longer video, but I really wanted to jam pack this with value. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.